Hey everybody, it's Candy, aka Brown Eyed Girl 69. How y'all doing? Well, today is December 12th of 2026. So I guess today is day 12 of year one. I will say this because on the days that I work, I have no energy after I get off work, really. Now I am off work tomorrow, but I am going to DoorDash tomorrow. I'm going to start probably about 11 in the morning and DoorDash until the afternoon until it slows down here for sale, and then I'll probably take a break, head to Norman, and see if I can get in up there and work Norman tomorrow night. And I've been thinking about making videos when I'm out door dashing, but at the same time, I have to pay attention to the DoorDash app and all this other stuff. I'm really starting to see what's going on out there. I haven't really been paying attention to what's going on out in the matrix, so to speak. I don't have TV, like I've said 1,000 times. Um, so when I hear about things, my first thought is why are these things happening, for one? Two, is it real? Or is it just a psyop or a false flag or, just something to keep the people divided, because there are so many people out there that still believe in the left and right paradigm. I don't believe in the left or right paradigm at all. I know they're all together. I know the government is all together. Even though they try to keep us people divided by left and right politics, games that they play on us. So that's why I just don't pay attention to it anymore. People get all up in an uproar about all these things that's happening. Now, if it's really happening and it's not part of some other part of the agenda, or as distraction, keep us focused on something over here while they're doing something over here. Also, another thing, a friend of mine posted about this movie that came out in 1997 called Wag the Dog. And I used to talk about this movie quite frequently, actually, when I was trying to awaken others. But basically, the movie has Dustin Hoffman in it. I'm going to look it up here so I can just read it for y'all. 1990. Yeah, it came out in 1997. It had Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro in it. And here's the overview of the movie. And just see if any of this sounds familiar. 2 weeks prior to re-election, the United States president lands in the middle of a sex scandal. In need of outside help to quell the situation, presidential advisor Winifred Ames, played by Anne Heche, enlists the expertise of spin doctor Conrad Breen, played by Robert De Niro, who decides a distraction is the best course of action. Breen approaches Hollywood producer Stanley Mott's Dustin Hoffman to help him fabricate a war in Albania. And once underway, the duo has the media entirely focused on the war that was created in a studio with actors and green screens. This was a movie made in 1997. It's called Wag the Door. It was a spin doctor and a Hollywood producer joined efforts to fabricate a war in order to cover up a presidential sex scandal. Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro, Woody Harrelson, Anne Heck, Kirsten Dunst, William Macy, Willie Nelson, Dennis Leary, Andrea Martin. Those are just some of the people that played in this movie. I guess I just kind of am over talking about subjects that I've talked about for the last 17 years. Nobody listened. Nobody paid attention. And then when I try to get on the other side of the balance beam and be really positive and post inspirational things or talk about inspirational things, nobody seems to want to go in that direction either. Also, I'm starting to realize by me saying that I wanted to make one video a day for a year, I don't know how these content creators do it. I don't know how these content creators are able to pull all the information that they have presented in their videos, as well as the time to make the video as the presentation, and then edit it, piece it all together, and upload it. You know, on a daily basis. It's hard for me just to make a small little short video with nothing behind me and nothing for me to show on a screen to you guys. You know? But I guess if this is your main gig, you know, then obviously you're going to try to put all your hard-earned effort and energy into it, you know? Me, I never wanted to become internet known. I never really thought about it, honestly. Like I said, I guess in a way I'm kind of glad that I'm not a very popular channel, and I guess I'm kind of grateful that I'm not trying to get monetized or anything like that, because when you get monetized, you gotta adhere to the rules. Not that I don't play by the rules, because I do. But at the same time, I feel like the First Amendment is really not allowed as much as they try to claim it is. You know, they like to censor the truth, so that's why, especially if you're monetized, you know, there are certain things you can't talk about, certain words you can't use, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there was this video that I watched by this guy named Hawk, and they're talking about Kristi Noem's One of Ours, All of Yours podium presentation today. And this one person said, our grandfathers are rolling in their graves, for millions died for nothing in World War II because this administration reincarnated as the Nazis. So I replied and said, the Nazis never left. They have always been here, under disguise, different names, different organizations. Also, on the good shooting, the number 33 is all over it. So it's a psyop, just like the CK thing was a psyop. Just to keep the people divided and arguing all the while this regime is doing the things behind our backs to put themselves in a position where it will be hard to come out of. People better wake up or the America is going to be Germany all over again. Also, there is no difference between the left or right. They're both in bed together, and Kamala would have just been another talking head puppet like DJT and be working to bring about the agenda they have in store for the people of Earth. So people need to wake up and see that the government is not your friend. Stock up on food, water, supplies, and guns if you can. Also made another comment, said basically I've been screaming for 17 years and nobody listens. Nobody paid attention. No, they all called me a crazy nutter, tin-foil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. So all I can say is the American people deserve what they get, especially all those magatards that voted this regime into office, you know. I hate to be that way, because some people say, well, I can't believe you say something like that, but the only reason why we're in the mess we're in is because these people have allowed themselves to be brainwashed by other humans that deem themselves a higher authority, you know? And when reality is, they're no better than we are, you know? They're just another human just like we are, even though their behavior isn't very human-like, you know? I don't know what the solution is, honestly, though. I don't know if there ever will be, because this is just, you know, wars and this country invading that country and this doing that and this person doing this to that person. It's been going on for millennia, you know what I mean? So, sorry, had an itch. I don't really know what the solution is. So, for me personally, since I don't like really pay attention to what they're showing us, so I don't get all energized in the wrong way over these subject matters, I'm just focusing on my own personal life and events in my own personal space, I guess, you know. My personal space would be my home as well as my job and my daughter and grandchildren, my mom. Those are the spaces that I inhabit, you know, on the majority of the time. You know, if I'm not here, I'm usually at work, or sometimes I'm with my daughter and grandchildren, or, you know, doing things for those folks, you know. So that's pretty much all I'm going to try to devote my energy to and focus on, even though I think everybody should be paying attention to what's going on in some shape, form, or fashion, you know, and always be prepared for what could happen, you know. When I first started waking up in 2009, people were talking about prepping back then, prepping, getting solar and going off grid, blah, blah, blah. But the thing about it is some of these people that woke me up back then were considered militia type people. They were considered members of the Don't Tread on Me crowd. But it turns out that the Don't Tread on Me crowd is the Proud Boys that did their January 6th thing. And it really kind of blows me away that those are the folks that awakened me. But now it's those hardcore conservative folks that I really think are the problem. And then the very far left people that don't have a conservative bone in their body, and they want everybody to be under one rule. Socialists, communism, and I don't see that as a good thing either. Anyways, today's the 11th day, or 12th day, the 12th day of year 1. And I guess I'll definitely be keeping an eye on things just in case things start turning weird or crazy. But I'm not going to focus all my energy on the things going out there in the Matrix. Unless, by all means, it's going to really start affecting a lot of people. But in the meantime, I try to stay positive as I can every day. I try to get something accomplished every day, whether that is going to my job, or like on my days off working another job, or cleaning up around here, doing laundry for me, doing laundry for my kids, etc., cooking food, whatever. But I will say this one thing about, well, I'll leave the link so you can watch this, because I haven't really watched all of it, but there's a picture of what ICE can and cannot do. And they're not a police force. The stopping vehicles is only if they have reasonable suspicion of an immigration violation or an official warrant. They're not a police force. ICE is an immigration agency, not general law enforcement. They can only stop a vehicle if they have reasonable suspicion of an immigration violation or an official warrant. No random stops. Detention rules can only detain if reasonable suspicion of being undocumented or a valid immigration warrant. They cannot detain U.S. citizens, even though we know that they have. The use of firearms can only draw a gun if immediate threat of serious harm. No guns to intimidate. And then as far as like bystanders are concerned, these agents aren't even supposed to be concerned with bystanders. Even though a lot of these agents get mad at bystanders that film them or whatever, and then they try to threaten the bystanders, with the threat of an arrest or whatever, if you're filming them or whatever. Because there are people out in different neighborhoods that are kind of carousing and trying to keep an eye open and aware for these agents to kind of warn their community, The way I look at it is like this: if it ain't broke, don't need to fix it. And at one point in time, the United States of America seemed to be a pretty hopping place to be. It was a place to make money. It was a place that offered a lot of things without it being too expensive. People were making money. Money was flowing. Things was good. Life was good. To where we are today, where people can barely afford to live, barely afford to keep a roof over their head, can't afford to keep groceries in their refrigerators and cabinets, or keep there's just so many things that's wrong with society nowadays, and it's like, where do we even begin as a society, as a species, to try to repair the damage that's been done? I mean, is it possible? What would need to take place for us to just completely reverse the majority of the things that have been done? Anyways, peace, love, hugs, nugs. And until the next time, I'm out.